Welcome into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show.
Jeez, my ears.
I didn't change anything. Just talking the regularly did.
It's set up from Urkel Earl. It's like just the sound is a little bit
gosh.
louder.
Right.
I think he came in hot.
Did
Just
I?
now?
I think so.
Yeah, you came in a little louder than normal. But it was also a little turned up a
Those
little
drones?
loud.
Seriously. Still foggy from the weekend. A little late here on this Monday morning. Good for you starting it with us. Thank you for being here. Make sure to hit that like, share button. Hopefully everybody had a great St. Patrick's Day weekend. Everybody's still kind of finding their way.
Clearly, everything's still too
Finding their
loud.
Monday. Volume still turned up a little bit here. Stewie does not know how he got home on Saturday night.
Nope. Is he here?
He's quizzing everybody who walked in the door.
You
Look.
dropped me home.
Jacob, that makes me
You
nervous.
have a kid, Jacob.
Okay, I literally
Remember.
spent like $60 in Zippies and didn't eat one taco Saturday, so I
Who
don't
ate
know.
the tacos?
I don't know. I do not know. Also had a charge from Uncle Earl's. Never bought a drink at Uncle Earl's, so I don't know what was going on
that's not
Saturday.
good, man.
You're
in
in
trouble.
car.
Earlapalooza was off the chain on Saturday. That was a fun time.
chain
Katie
link
did not
fence.
make. Yeah, Katie did not make it. Lloyd could not get past the chain link
Security.
fence.
Security.
I drove by on my float, saw poor Ron out there struggling, sitting down on the curb.
Matuk made Flo Rida.
Made it.
Did he
Good
really?
When he sent
Lord.
that text, like, Mikey, you're still there? He goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, then I saw our guy, Brian, in the background
Yeah.
filming. I was like, he's still there.
He had to.
Yeah, well, Dryden was on the clock.
He was hired
He
to
was
film the
working.
whole thing.
Oh, I thought he was doing it
He
for
was
us.
working.
No.
He
He
was
was
working
working
for
for us
Earl.
girls.
In time.
Oh my gosh, no. That's some commitment right
That's what I
there.
was
I did thought you were over complimentary
Yeah,
of
I
him
did
in the
too.
Slack.
I was like, what's your deal?
Wow, this guy's a beast. I was like, I mean, he's getting paid, bro.
He
I mean,
has his job there.
I thought he just loved it.
Remember, the Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you every single day by Go Chevrolet. Shout out to the crew, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Find Lee Carney, Nick Richard, and the entire crew right there in Laplace for brand new cars. And if you're looking for a used car, get over to Go Express Auto Sales on Florida Boulevard and Sherwood Forest. Daily True Blue Water. Every single day, our water provided by True Blue Water. As you can get on the delivery route this morning at trubluewater.com, our official spice. Papa Earl's, 30% less sodium than the competition. As every day, our phone line is brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Jason Ramazan, Charles Harvey, and the entire crew over at Metropolitan Health Group. And this morning on the phone line, we will talk to at 8 o'clock this morning. Doug Thompson is going to be here from the LSU Sports Radio Network. We'll talk about LSU Baseball struggling over the SEC weekend as they open up conference play at the box. Tigers salvaged the sweep, able to get a game yesterday from the Aggies. Incredible play by Trey Morgan late in that game and ended up on SportsCenter's top 10. I believe it was number 3 as the best plays of the weekend, but Morgan with an incredible throw down to second base after a ball got away from the third baseman coming in and was able to get the Texas A&M runner at second base. But LSU 1-2 now in SEC play. We'll talk to Thompson about what he saw over the weekend and how they can get prepared for this week coming up. LSU basketball falls over the weekend on Friday. Iowa State is now moving on to the Sweet 16. The Cyclones look like a pretty gritty team as they were able to move past Wisconsin yesterday. The Sweet 16 is set. We'll tell you all about it coming up here as we before we get out of here at 9 a.m. this morning. Lyle Collins is now protecting Joe Burrow. Couple of Tigers
Bodyguard.
getting back together, and Collins with a great quote as soon as he signed his contract. Looking forward to playing at in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And LSU ladies survive and advance past Jackson State. What a game that was. I don't think anybody in this room was paying attention at 4 o'clock on Saturday for sure, but I talked to a couple of people that were there, including our friend Daniel Newman from Edward Jones, our financial advisor. Newman, who's a basketball fanatic, a junkie, a hoop head, says that that is a top 5 game that he has ever seen in the Maravich Center.
Wow.
Men or women. Said it was an incredible atmosphere. Jackson State brought their band
Yeah, they did. I
to
saw
the
that.
Maravich Center, who I heard was incredible entertainment
Have y'all
during
ever
the
heard
game.
their band
Yes,
before?
absolutely.
Oh, man.
A lot of brass.
Lots of brass.
A lot of brass.
Lots of movement.
I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I mean? Like,
Lots of
Gyrating.
dancing.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of that. Lots of that.
it's entertaining.
It is so entertaining.
So Jackson State and LSU, the ladies on Saturday. LSU down by 10 in the second half on Saturday. Looked like, and even into the fourth quarter where they were down by, I believe, 7. And on a 19-3 run in the last 5 minutes in the game, Kayla Pointer clinched the win with a three-pointer with under a minute left to play. She ended the night with 26 and 9. 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists for Pointer on the night. Jalen Cherry tallied her career high with 24. And they're Faustein's balling. Down on the block, she had 17 and 14 for LSU.
Was there some kind of beef with the coach when Kim was at Baylor between them? When she
they played last year. And
Right.
they played last year in the opening tournament. By the way, Baylor ladies bounced. I mean, like a national championship favorite. Definitely a Final Four team.
Yeah.
Right? Like definitely thought to be
Yeah.
a national finalist. And maybe had the best player in the country on the team. But they are bounced yesterday, 61-47, taken down by South Dakota.
That was crazy.
In fact, Baylor had made 12 consecutive Sweet 16 appearances, which snapped the 4th longest streak in NCAA tournament history after Nikki Collin in her first season coaching in Waco. She went 28-7 on the year. Bears had won 17 of 19 games going into the tournament. I mean, they were one of the teams that people were betting on to possibly win the national championship, and to look up in the opening weekend and see that team bounced is a hell of a story. But LSU, so last year when Mulkey was at Baylor, she had a really good team, and they played Jackson State, I believe, in the opening round.
Okay.
But you know, look, Jackson State last year had only won 9 games, and they had some, some players in the backcourt that were older that had never played in the tournament. Now they come back a year later with those same players winning more games here in this regular season, and you've got the experience now from those ladies who are now sophomores and juniors who are seniors and have now played in the tournament. So, there wasn't the fear factor. There wasn't the anxiety of what are we stepping into? What's this going to be like? How much more pressure is going to be applied during this part of the season? And I thought Mulkey did a really good job of pointing that out. Like, look, it might be the same team, but they're a year experienced. They're a year wiser. They're a year more confident in coming to the tournament. And Tamika Reed, who is Jackson State's coach, is a very talented coach. Like, I mean, you don't have to, watch her team play for long to say, wow, this team is a very well-coached squad. And from, LSU standpoint, an intimidating matchup in the first round. As we mentioned, had them down by 10 in the second half, had them down by 7 in the fourth quarter. And last year, I think, look, sometimes Mulkey's personality, it can rub people the wrong way, right? And I think she is a very polarizing character, not only within sports, but like within mainstream media. I mean, I think she's a character that people know outside of women's basketball, right? She's not just relevant in her sport. And, the way that they won last year, I think that there was a motivation for Tamika Reed and Jackson State to get back to the tournament, and they had a chance to play Kim Mulkey. And last week they put a video out on social media. Jackson State did. They just put it out.
Video.
Yeah, their locker room video, just kind of like the motivational videos that you kind of play within your own locker room for your team that kind of got out.
But I didn't think it was bad.
No, it's not. But within
It was just
sport,
like, we're going to get Kim Mulkey.
it's the Michael Jordan thing.
Yeah.
Don't take much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
personally.
Right? Like George Karl didn't tell me hello at the restaurant before game 1. I'm going to kill him. Like, Jesus, Mike. He just maybe didn't see you. You know what I mean? Like,
And George Carl's like, I did say hey to him.
he's like, I think I did say hello to him.
Certainly talk to him.
Right.
I'll remember that.
But like, don't forget, who was the presenter for Kim Mulkey's Hall of Fame induction? You know what I mean? They're cut from the same cloth, right? I mean, and for somebody like Mulkey, it doesn't take much. She sees a video like that pop up, and she's going to use that in the locker room. She's going to use that to motivate her team. She's going to get that to bring the best out of her group. And last night you saw or at the press conference on Saturday. I mean, you saw.
Can we play that at all?
We have to play it. Like, we have to play it. Lloyd, go to tigerbait.com. Go to Mike Scarborough's account. Mike,
Thank you.
yes, make sure and subscribe
Mike,
to Mike Scarborough's account. He's doing great work over there as far as posting this stuff. But the last question of the night is asked by Jacques, and Jacques sets her up on that video. And it was almost like Jacques had gotten with her before and was like, I'm going to ask you about that video, because she was so prepared.
She was ready
for that question. And she sang a Jim Croce song.
What was that song? What was the song? Now I can't remember, because she changed the words to reflect her, and I was like, wait.
Did she change the words? Does it not say Kim?
Does it say Kim?
I think it does.
Oh,
I think it does.
I didn't realize that.
No. I think it absolutely does, and that's why she referenced Destiny's Child, because she was like, nobody in this room or nobody that I would sing that to in my team would know who that is or know who the song was. So like, I thought that first off, I thought she crushed the part where she was singing the Croce part.
Yeah, she did.
The only cringeworthy part of the press conference, which she didn't care about, you know what I mean? Like, was when the Destiny's Child, when she was getting up and walking away, because the room, like, she played well to that room because it was an older room in the press room, so they all knew that song that she was singing.
You don't mess around with Kim.
Yeah,
does it really say Kim in the song? I feel like it says something different.
I thought it does.
I'm looking around like no one in here knows.
Yeah, nobody knows.
It says y'all don't mess around with Jim.
Oh, okay. So she changed it to Kim.
All right,
okay.
all right.
Changing the words, not the vibe.
Okay.
Right. Right. That was funny.
It was.
It was very clever.
Do we have this?
It was clever,
but it was
it was a little cringy, though.
The set
I agree.
change we just did was pretty impressive, if I may say
yes,
so
it
myself.
Was.
Thank you.
It was.
No
Thank
compliments
you,
on
Lloyd.
air, bro. Right. Stay humble over there.
Sit down.
Can't even get inside the club.
Right. Sorry, buddy.
You
had that look. You had that look.
Of what?
Just, this ain't gonna work, is it?
No, yeah, and I'm a man that can finagle my way into
right.
a lot of places.
And that's what I was hoping was gonna happen. I was almost kind of giving you that, like, Lloyd, this is where you do your best work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I see that you're too deep behind you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're +2, it's a little limited on how much BS I can get past, but you have seen more dangerous scenarios, I'd imagine.
And thrived.
Yes, absolutely.
But I've also learned in my older age, I'm 30 now. I've learned that is this worth it?
Some of those stories, right?
Yes.
Let me see your
we
ID.
talked about jail.
Let me see your identification. In fact, empty your pockets.
You do it.
You know what? I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just going to leave. All right. There's a crawfish boil across the street. I'm good, man.
Good.
You can hear all the entertainment from there. But Mulkey, and she also, look, she rubbed some people the wrong way again on Saturday. I think that, you know, her and Reed had a long embrace after the game, and people were asking kind of like, what did you say? What was it about? What was it? And she kind of took the time to say, look, I'm usually, or try to be complimentary in tough losses to other coaches, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Walk up and say, hey, man, I just outcoached the hell out of you. And our team just outplayed you in the last 5 minutes of it. Tough loss. Sorry. Enjoy the trip back to Jackson. I mean, she said, look, you deserve to win that game. Your team played well enough to win that game. And she also told her, as she told the press, which I think is getting, you know, is getting some pushback, is that she told her Jackson State better pay you or you're not going to be there long. And I think, you know, some alums, some people who support Jackson State kind of take that as that she's sending a shot, like she's not happy where she is. And I mean, I don't think she meant it in any spiteful
I think she
way.
meant it as a compliment, right?
I think she did too.
Like, you need to make more. You're great.
Yeah, well, she was just recognizing talent. Victor Howell there playing the NCAA SID on the site. Good to see Victor Howell back. Are we not going to be able to hear the audio?
No, but they can. For the people.
And he had a little song that goes like this: you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit in the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old long range, and you don't mess around with Kim. That was my first thought. But you see, a lot of the young people, they don't know that song. So my thought is this: y'all know who Destiny's Child is? Say my name, say my name, say my name. Y'all have a good day. Love y'all. Good? Let's go.
So that was yesterday as Kim Mulkey, or excuse me, that was Saturday. Now Mulkey and LSU will face off against Ohio State tonight inside the Maravich Center. So tickets still available if you want to get over there and check out that game.
Wait,
Should
Iowa,
be
right? Iowa State?
Yeah, Iowa State. I'm sorry. No, is it Iowa State?
LSU,
Is it not?
LSU men's basketball played
Yes.
Iowa State.
I know.
Yeah, no. LSU will host Ohio
Is it
State.
Ohio?
Yes.
Okay.
In the second round of the NCAA tonight.
My bad.
As LSU will square off after a really good atmosphere, as we said on Saturday. LSU men, the latest for the men's group, as we'll talk to Billy Embody here from On3 Sports coming up at 8:15 this morning after Doug Thompson is here at 8 o'clock, and we'll talk to him about the latest of what's going on with LSU. LSU bounced on Friday from the tournament, Iowa State, in a really tough game to watch, I thought. LSU had great opportunities in that game, but just the turnovers and the inability to protect the ball, rebound the ball, and really what has plagued the team all season long killed them in their final outing, and that was just not being able to make open shots. And you see this tournament, and you see the teams that are advancing, and teams like the Peacocks who are making it to the Sweet 16 after another win. They're only the second number 15 seed. Talking about St. Peter's is this weekend's or this year's Cinderella as they beat Murray State on Saturday to stamp their ticket to the Sweet 16. And now you'll have a double-digit matchup in the round of Sweet 16 as Michigan was able to advance. Juwan Howard, who was facing a lot of adversity this season, but they move on as an 11 seed over the weekend as they take down Tennessee. It was crazy to see the Volunteers. Auburn was bounced last night, but one of the things that's is evident in some of these teams that are advancing, the majority of these teams that are advancing, they make shots. They make open baskets. And LSU was plagued all season long by their inability to make shots. And in the final outing, they had their opportunities. They had their chances to make open buckets, and they just could not put it, they couldn't put it through. And the turnovers killed them. But, Iowa State, look up, and they are an 11 seed that has now advanced to the second weekend as they bludgeoned Wisconsin on Sunday and able to advance now to the second weekend. But we were talking a little bit about Murray State, and Murray State was beat by St. Peter's. It seems as if Murray State's head coach, Matt McMahon, is becoming the fast-rising name within LSU's opening job. Jeff Goodman is and was the first that tweeted out that McMahon was in the mix for LSU's opening, and that LSU had taken a look at San Francisco's Todd Golden before he was hired by Florida on Saturday. Another media outlet reported that McMahon, who is 43 years old, has been the Racers head coach for 7 seasons, has emerged and is emerging as LSU's front runner for their job opening. Ironically, Sunday was 5 years to the day that Will Wade accepted the offer from LSU to become the last head coach with the Tigers basketball program. So right now is obviously the time that this usually happens. This is, really the time that coaches become very much in demand. The Todd Graham story, who we talked about with the University of San Francisco, he accepted the job at Florida over the weekend. So Scott Strickland, the athletics director over in Gainesville, moved very quickly, not only as football hire and hiring Billy Napier, but he obviously had his man pegged in Todd Golden when he made the move, or when he knew that Mike White was on the way out and accepting the Georgia job. They moved pretty quick and pick up Todd Golden. Now it seems like LSU is making a run at Mac McMahon, who's been at Murray State for the last 7 seasons, and Billy Embody from On3 Sports was able to confirm Jeff Goodman's report from earlier yesterday in saying that it seems LSU is in play there.
How do you say his name?
We say Matt McMahon.
I say McMahon, but I mean, clearly, if his is pronounced McMahon, that's fine. But there are people who are named that are McMahon. I know families with that last name. That's all I'm saying. Jeez.
You're the cheese.
McMahon was the Ohio Valley Conference
back
Coach
me
of the
up here.
Year after leading his team to a 31-3 record this season. His team was 13-13 last year, so a hell of a turnaround. They have won the postseason tournament in the Ohio Valley 3 times, including in 22. McMahon is a former player from Appalachian State who coached Ja Morant at Murray State and has a career record of 154 and 67 with a winning percentage of 697. So, look, man, I think I don't know much about Mac McMahon. I've seen Murray State play, and obviously every year in the tournament, Murray State seems to be one of the names and one of the teams that people like to jump on as a story in a squad who has the experience of being here. You know, as far as Matt McMahon's coaching resume and what style he plays and what he's going to bring in, how he recruits, I don't know much about that. But it seems as if early on that this is one of the names that we're going to have to watch. Now, what I did learn over the weekend in talking to some people around LSU is that Scott Woodward is prepared to open up the checkbook, which I don't think is surprising.
No, it's not.
But he's also ready to offer this job with a multi-year commitment, somewhere past, you know, the standard 3-4 year contract that you see for coaches. You would see this one probably be offered on like a 6 to 7 year term limit.
Why?
Just to get past the next couple of years on what could be, right? I mean, there's expected sanctions to come down and penalties to come down from the NCAA, and whatever those hold, somebody's going to have to navigate through that. You're going to have to coach through those days, whether it's limited in scholarships or limitations in postseason bans, whatever it looks like, right? Somebody's going to have to direct that, and whether, like we said last week, there's kind of 2 forms of thinking here. There's a couple of methods to the madness where, you know, you can look at it from a couple of ways. Maybe you bring somebody in with experience to get you past the next couple of years, and then you're able to go out and attract a name to come in and say, hey, look, it's now on a level playing field. You just have to build it up as far as the players and make sure and recruit and jump in the transfer portal and build up the roster. Or you can just turn to somebody and say, look, here's a 6-7 year contract. We're not going to judge you on the first 2-3 years of it. And this is the guy, right? This is who you want to hire. And like I said, I believe that, you know, the amount of money that Woodward is going to offer is going to attract a lot of people. But, you know, right now, Matt McMahon seems to be the front runner for the job, according to a couple of sources. Now, Jeff Goodman's got really good sources within college basketball. He's a college basketball reporter that is very well respected, and is usually, you know, not going to go to print with anything that he hasn't confirmed a couple of times. So, you know, maybe this is a name, or maybe this is LSU throwing a little bit of smoke out there to see what happens.
I mean, that's usually how it works, right? What about Drew? Is he still in the running?
I know Scott Drew's name has popped up, and that's just from people kind of talking. I haven't heard any confirming reports. This is the first report that that you've seen that's been confirmed, like that, you know, LSU is talking. I mean, Jeff Goodman saying that LSU's in contact with McMahon. Billy Embody, who's, you know, kind of boots on the ground in Baton Rouge and has good relationships, is confirming that this is happening. But I mean, this is the type of you know, this is the type of stuff that can happen pretty quick. You know, I mean, this type of hire, if you've got somebody sought out and you're going after somebody and already establishing communication with someone. You know, I mean, this is how this stuff happens pretty quick. Look at Florida. You know, I mean, that's That's how you do it.
Wasn't he another guy that was in the running a little bit for the LSU job?
Earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his name's come up. You know, I mean, his name, I've heard his name come up in job openings before. I don't recall how serious his name was taken, 5 years ago when they landed on Wade, but it seems.
No, I'm talking about even in this coaching cycle, whenever they were after Will Wade was.
Oh, sure.
Scott Drew
terminated.
Yeah.
Absolutely unjustly fired, but I felt like Scott Drew was in the running, and then they kind of landed on a guy. And this is what other avenue that could you go?
I don't know.
Like Will Wade has. I mean, not Will Wade. Scott Woodward has like the big game hunter tag on it, but I don't think this is a chance where you can go get big game.
Right.
You kind of have to restart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like this is a bad hire if he's the guy.
Yeah, I don't either.
Who, Drew or McMahon?
No, McMahon.
McMahon.
Allegedly.
Alleged.
From Scott Woodward's standpoint, at this point, I don't know I don't know if he knows what you're selling.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's the most, part that you're just so weary about on both sides.
Grasping at straws.
Right? I mean, you're just kind of, you don't know what the sanctions are going to look like. You don't know what the state of the program's going to look like in a couple of years. And
recruiting's in the shitter.
Right. I mean, that's another part of the story that we wanted to get to with LSU basketball. So they're bounced on Friday out of the tournament by Iowa State. Iowa State is moving on to the Sweet 16 as they were able to get past Wisconsin. Then the news pops up that Matt McMahon is one of the names that is starting to, gain some steam behind the scenes as somebody who's a real viable candidate to replace and take over Will Wade's position. And then you hear about the recruiting news. 5-star signee Julian Phillips announced over the weekend he's been granted his release and out of his recruitment. He's reopening his recruitment. Phillips, who is originally from Branson, Missouri, is rated the number 2 power forward in the country and the number 15 overall recruit for the class of 2022. He signed with LSU in November, which meant, he was already, you could talk to Wade and the staff about him because he had already signed his letter of intent. Now, with Wade moving on, the NCAA allows players to get out of their letter of intent, when there was a coaching change. More news in recruiting came in over the weekend. LSU 2023 commit Marvell Allen decommitted over the weekend as well. 6'4" combo guard out of Fort Lauderdale, one of the best scorers in the class, gave a statement on his decommitment saying, "I committed to LSU because of my relationship with Coach Will Wade and Kevin Nickelberry. Thank you to the rest of the LSU coaching staff and fans for the support that they showed me throughout my time. I was committed. Wasn't expecting to come to this point, but I will be decommitting from LSU and reopening my recruitment to all programs. I'm looking forward to finding my new home," Allen said in a statement. He's from Florida. He chose LSU over Alabama, Kansas, Memphis, Georgia, Ohio State, Arizona State, and Maryland.
Does this pose problems for these kids? I mean, like now that he's like back out there, were the other school, like since he committed to LSU, will the other schools like come after him again?
No chance.
Really?
No
So
way.
I mean, is
He's just too good of a player. I mean, anytime a player like this is on, is uncommitted, there's too many teams that have a spot for a guy like this.
Well, and you saw the teams that were listed and who's
yeah. So I mean,
playing
they'll want him.
They're
again,
playing
is
the
what I'm
Will
saying.
Wade game,
Okay.
so he's obviously, when you have Kansas in the mix and Memphis in the mix, I mean, it's not going to be for free.
Right.
Playing the same offer that probably maybe somebody else gave him that he committed to.
Remember, daily, we are brought to you by Cajun Ready Mix Concrete. Get online and check out Cajun Ready Mix Concrete at CajunRMC.com. CajunRMC.com is where you can find Cajun Ready Mix Concrete to help you out with anything that you may be looking for as far as an industrial job, a residential job. They can help you out today. Get in touch with them. Online's the easiest and best way to do that. Residential, commercial, industrial, municipal contract. They can help you at Cajun Ready Mix. They strive to be the premier provider of quality concrete with 9 locations around the greater Baton Rouge area. That means when you order concrete, it will get to you on time and to the exact specification that it was ordered. Cajun Ready Mix. They are the best as far as the high-quality products that they offer. Red carpet service, grade A equipment, and clear safety standards offered by Cajun Ready Mix. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Check out the great website, CajunRMC.com. CajunRMC.com. Yeah, I saw their whole crew.
Yeah.
Was Was it in a concrete truck?
was riding. No, that would have been a good one. But
We ran into him just walking around.
but he was riding. They were
yeah, he was.
like
He
the
was.
entire.
He was having a good time already.
Yeah,
Like
they're-
9 a.m.
It's tough.
I think that's the role. I think that's what
It
you're supposed.
is.
If you're not
We all
doing that,
were.
yeah. If you're not
Yeah.
doing that, you're not doing it right.
Right.
Well, that to me, that's the funnest part of the day. Really,
Yeah.
is when
Yes.
everybody's getting lined up.
Well, we were on the float at 6:30.
8
That's
to
how
10
early it
a.m.
started.
Yeah.
What? How long are you supposed to make it? What would you say is like the cutoff? Like Mikey being out past 8 is unbelievable.
Unreal.
That's strong.
Unbelievable.
Unreal.
It's really strong.
And riding in
Incredible.
the parade. If you're just
Yeah.
doing the parade,
Yes.
that's different.
It's a
But
hell
if
of
you're
a day.
riding and you
Yeah.
make it to 8,
Yeah.
cuzzo. How?
I know.
Right.
I
like,
mean, I know how I made it.
Write a
Just-
book.
Yes.
I know.
You play for the 86 Mets.
I mean, good Lord, leave behind a guide. How did you
know.
do this? How did you get there?
I'm going to try to do it next year. Whatever he did, I'm going to try to do that.
That will be the 4th year you will try to accomplish
Yeah.
that mission, right?
One
That's a
day.
hell of
One
a
day.
mountain for you to climb, man. St. Patrick's
is.
Day is almost the Mount Everest of days for you.
It is.
You cannot get past the first portion. You've passed out
cannot.
within the first. I mean, you can't even get up the first. We
No.
ain't even started hiking yet.
I mean, David has photos of me just
the
out.
race hasn't
For
even
God's
started.
sakes.
And I'm out.
I know.
Has anybody seen Katie? Yeah, she's home.
She
I
quit.
mean, you get thirsty on the float, throwing things the whole
thirsty.
time, and I
Anybody
forget that
seen
it's
my
just
took?
vodka.
You were dehydrated.
Guys at
Right.
Flow Ride at 8 o'clock at night.
Capturing video.
Jesus
Crazy.
Christ.
Good, buddy, dude.
MLB, test this guy.
I know.
PEDs.
The bionic man.
He really is.
Guy's getting younger.
He's been conditioning for this his whole life.
It seems
Jesus.
like it.
But a great day. Beautiful weather.
Yeah. Perfect weather.
Hell of a cleanup.
Well, you can thank Katie for that.
Well, that
To
was
clean
my
up her own float.
You have to.
That's a terrible rule.
But you have somebody. Who else is going to do it?
We'll do it tomorrow.
Well,
You know what I
wasn't
mean?
Really that
Well,
We're
I'm
not-
not coming back.
Well, I'd say, I mean,
See, we'll do it tomorrow.
or I mean, at that point, included in the fee.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would definitely pay the extra, what, 50 a head?
Yeah. I would.
50
too.
a head for a cleaning clean?
So,
would
dude,
too.
you can name the price.
Name it.
Yeah, you could.
I'm in.
And see, I'm somebody that like if I'm on like a bus or like a flight, like I'll pick up my things, you know,
Yeah.
as I go. I don't leave my own trash, but I
Right.
feel like that's not really the rules. Whenever you're on a float, nobody's cleaning up after themselves.
Right.
No,
If it
not,
was
not
like
in
a-
the moment.
No, Jesus. But I'm saying like if everybody just did a little bit while you were
Right.
leaving, that would be good. But it felt like you probably didn't have that luxury.
No,
Felt like-
everybody did. It was just a lot. I mean, our kids there was a lot of trash. So, I mean, it's a lot to clean up.
To get to sports, do you think if LSU has Will Wade, they beat Iowa State? That's the poll question today, Southern Iowa Center. Shout out.
You know, I mean, it's a hell of a game of what if. They definitely were very sloppy.
The
They-
first 2 minutes you could tell like, okay, this is going to be a different LSU
Yeah,
team.
it's just, you could tell they were just dealing with a lot of stuff,
Checked
man.
out a little.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably a horrible week of practice.
Well,
You know, I mean, just
reports of during stage just walking out.
yeah, just everything of that went into that week for LSU was just very clunky and weird, and that was the worst week for that to happen in the entire season. And I mean, I really thought at times they were able to kind of get it close and compete, but I never thought during that game that they were going to win.
Me either.
I never believed that they were gonna pull that out. Just whether it was because of the shots they were missing, the free throws weren't falling, the defense was letting them
Turnovers.
down, and the turnovers was just. I mean,
the fouling.
some of those turnovers were grade level. I mean, like just elementary level type stuff. I mean, it was just. I never felt confident whether they would have won the game if Wade was there. You feel like they probably would have been, they would have had a little bit better of a chance for sure. I looked up and watched that Wisconsin team, and I thought to myself, man, you get here, and you're definitely the better squad, man.
But that's what I was going to ask, because if they win that game, it looks like LSU has a trip into the Sweet 16.
Without question. I mean, that Wisconsin team, LSU would have been a nightmare for them.
They would.
That would have been a night. I mean,
They would have boat raced
Wisconsin
them.
plays in cement. I mean, for as much as LSU can't score, that's the perfect type of team for them. If they can create turnovers and get out and run, they'll track meet them.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's an Eric Gaines
they'll
game.
boat race them.
Yes. Gaines with one of the best blocks of the
Ever.
year. Ever.
Yeah,
Ever. I mean,
was-
that block was. I mean, like Dave Portnoy tweeted it out and was like, "I cannot stop watching." It's as graceful as an athletic, big time play. The way that he
Levitated.
controls his body it's almost like he's swimming in air, and then he volleyball spikes this thing into the glass.
He jumped before the other guy jumped and was just waiting for him to get up in the air. He's like, come meet me up here.
I've
He,
heard
levitated.
Yeah, I've heard somebody describe his jumping ability as that Eric Gaines jumps as high as he wants to. However high he needs to jump, he's going to jump. And that's a great way of putting it because, I mean, every time you see an open run like that and he's in the screen, you're like, this is about to get punted. I mean, he's about to put this thing into the bleachers. But that was as an impressive of a block, or just
Athleticism.
Just the athleticism, absolutely, that it showed off was embarrassing, really. I mean,
see, I thought that play was going to turn the game around.
They had a couple
they had a
opportunities.
chance after that. Like,
They had a
he
couple
made a play, so it
opportunities.
was like they kind of brought everybody up.
But like the technical foul with 6 people in the court, I thought they inbounded the ball a little quick. You know what I mean? And that is really not. It's really the officials. It's not your duty to make. But I mean, you usually don't put the ball in play until there's a substitution change that's been made.
It's not hockey,
right? And I mean, you could easily be like, if 6 are on the floor for somebody, you could easily put the ball in. But you're usually like, hey, sub,
whistle
off. Yeah, right. And then put the ball in play. It's just one of those things, man. It was just one of those things of the
course.
days for LSU. It was just kind of flowing that way for him, man.
Did you bet? Did you bet on it?
I did. I bet on LSU, and then I
Told
spite.
y'all.
And then I spite betted Iowa State.
Oh, I
and
bet
won
on
that.
Iowa State.
I
and won it.
started. Is this bad of me? I kind of wanted them to lose for Will Wade's sake. I was like, good. This is what it looks like. Get ready. I tweeted it.
Oof. Good Lord.
What?
Put it down, bro.
I like it. I'm in the muck. I'm in it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Remember, we're brought to you by Barker's Plumbing and Works. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Our
Speaking of being in
friends
the muck.
over there in West Baton Rouge. They are number one and a number 2 business. One day I'm going to get that right. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, specializing in all works of plumbing, industrial, commercial, residential, and backflow prevention. They employ 30-year veterans of the plumbing industry and the future and young up-and-coming plumbers in the industry. Experienced carpenters and plumbers on staff for industrial remodels of any kind. They cover Greater Baton Rouge every single day. They got 2 trucks moving around Baton Rouge. So if you need them, get in touch with them. No social media. No website, just a phone number. Old school like that. Get in touch with Jude this morning at 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. Get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works this morning. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show, and you will receive a 15% discount on your bottom line. It does not matter what service you need from Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. You can get 15% off when you mention the Jordy Culotta Show. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Number 1 and a number 2 business. Get in touch with them this morning. 225-776-2431.
Do you think today's one of their busier days after St. Patrick's Day?
Why though?
I mean, what do you mean,
Because toilets are clogged up.
Maybe in the businesses in that area.
I just feel like
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
had a
Yeah.
weekend.
Ivars.
Yeah,
Yes. Earls. I don't even want
Ivars,
to know what
Earls.
those bathrooms would look like.
The Earls bathrooms have been crazily upgraded
Oh yeah, they have.
inside. I mean, it used to be like a flowing
The
lake.
whole place has been upgraded.
Yeah.
It looked crazy.
does.
I don't
So
think I've
nice.
been to Earl's since it's been remodeled. I remember the old Earl's where it was basically a dive bar.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now it
it
is
was.
It's a shack.
Yes, which
Yeah,
I
really.
liked. But this is awesome.
Very dark.
Yeah, well, very New Orleans.
Yes.
I'm okay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lights were down low.
Low.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I don't have to go to the
Like,
bathroom.
make mistakes here. There's no bathrooms.
Uncle Earl said he'll pat you on the head. It's okay. You're safe here.
Right.
Now it's a new Uncle Earl, which is
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, now it's
Dude,
Dude, the
2022.
power went out.
They cut the power out of the whole entire block.
No, they didn't. The transformer got hit by like the little streamers
No
from the
way.
floats.
Is that
while
what
I was
happened?
walking in, it happened like while I was walking.
Wow.
I saw it. I was like, I hope that doesn't kill Nelly.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
like
That was the only
concert
thing
part.
that saved. That was the only thing that was saved.
We went inside. They were like, dude, the power's out. No POS system. They were trying not to like serve drinks. People were like, dude, we don't have any way to. And everybody's like, I have cash. Like, all right, we're about to start making this work.
This is a cash
Yeah.
business.
It's about to be a cash business.
20.
20 for one drink. I don't care. They're
Right.
just like, take it.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
But I remember, I mean, people were going wild coming around saying, the power was out, the power was out, the power was blown. And I was thinking, What a day, bro.
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh.
like, what a
early.
day. Good Lord. No credit cards. Nobody serving.
I
This
can't
is
even
going to be a
imagine.
disaster. So it came off of streamers from a flood. I thought it was like kind of the,
Oh, like a power block. Like
I thought it was
Nelly.
kind of like the Beyonce thing that happened at the Super Bowl when, you know, I mean, like it was just
Too
this is
much.
too much.
Yes.
I mean,
The parade
just blew a
stopped.
breaker.
Did y'all notice when the parade stopped for a while? It was because Todd and Nellie's float hit a tree, an oak tree limb. And, you know, those are like super protected.
Yeah.
And somebody
Absolutely.
came out there with one of the chainsaws on a stick thing and sawed that freaking limb off. And then the parade kept rolling. We were all back there like, what are we doing? We were stopped for like 15 solid minutes. The parade was dead still.
Out of
That's what
practice
it
a little
was.
bit, Baton Rouge of the and hadn't done the parade in 2 years. You know,
Yeah.
give him a second.
Yeah.
Give him a second.
But their
But
float was obviously a little too tall.
Nelly was awesome. Did not disappoint.
No, he was great. He knows where he's at. You know what I mean? Play the hits.
Played
Yeah.
and he did.
Play the hits, man. You're up there for an hour. Play everything you got. Throw everything at him. I mean, he kept the place. That's how you entertain.
He
You
kept
know
it
what I
the
mean?
shirt, too.
Like,
Came out the shirt too.
yeah.
Big no shirt
He
guy.
still got it.
Yeah,
I mean-
he came out the shirt. You didn't see this?
No, well, I wasn't
right.
that close to the stage.
Sorry,
Me
buddy.
neither. Sorry. I mean, I saw it on video. Honestly, didn't see it in person. I remember the last thing I remember is going into Earl's when the lights were off. That's like,
Bro, that was like 30 minutes in.
bro.
You held it
Stewie.
together, dude.
Yeah, Stewie had a long
Had
day.
no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was with him. I didn't know you, but I didn't know that he was like, he held himself together. He looked fine.
Michael Third, any smoke to the Scott Drew rumors? Those are some things that we have not confirmed. Like I said, the only thing that has been confirmed is Jeff Goodman's report of LSU establishing contact with Mike McMahon, Matt McMahon, the Murray
Or
State
McMahon.
head coach,
McMahon.
who has that has been confirmed by Billy Embody at On3 Sports, who we're going to talk to here at 8:15 this morning. We're also going to talk to Doug Thompson here in 10 minutes about LSU baseball's struggles over the weekend. And truth be told, didn't watch a lot of the baseball. Watched a little bit of Friday night, watched a little bit of Sunday, but on Saturday, obviously didn't catch it. I do know that on Saturday, Blake Money did return to the lineup after suffering the wrist injury over a week ago, but he didn't make it through the fourth inning, gave up 6 hits, 4 of those earned, 3 walks as LSU lost 11-7 on Saturday to Texas A&M. They were able to salvage a win on Sunday with a 7-6 win as they were able to avoid the sweep. Center fielder Dylan Cruz hit a game-winning ribby in the bottom of the 8th to give LSU its first lead of the day. They were able to hang on to that lead after a tremendous play by Trey Morgan late in that game to stay in it defensively. But I think defensively is really what's costing LSU at this point through this part of the season. And we'll talk to Doug Thompson about that coming up here in a couple of minutes. We are looking forward to tomorrow as we are going to be out at the NIL event over at Lod Cook talking NIL with our friends. And you still have an opportunity to get tickets to that. Stewie will put the link up inside of our YouTube chat app as we will be talking NIL with a couple of the executive members from Walk-Ons. Will be there. Taylor Jacobs from LSU, who is the compliance department member from LSU, will be there. Lance Burgess, who's the president of LSU Sports Properties, is going to be a part of the panel answering a lot of the questions. But also tomorrow is the opening press conference for spring football. Brian Kelly will meet with the press tomorrow and start spring drills later this week on the practice field, and we'll start to get our first look at Kelly, his staff, working hand in hand with the guys on the field and getting them prepared for Florida State coming up with LSU's opener in late August down in the Superdome. So really looking forward to spring football starting tomorrow and some of the storylines that we'll be covering there. And make sure you're keeping up with us on all of our social media over here at Culotta Show, as we'll have a full team out there every single day covering drills, covering press conferences. We'll have all the reaction. Every time that Brian Kelly speaks, we'll have it for you. Also, Mike Denbrock, House, and Brian Polian are scheduled to meet with the press throughout these spring drills, and we'll have all of that for you as LSU hits the practice field later this week.
And if Polian, if I don't know if they heard it, but if you saw or heard the interview with Brian Polian that we did Friday, if he's any indication of what this program is going to look like going forward, LSU's in a good spot. He was very informative and very kind with his time, but he was impressive. considering where we are and where Coach O is shirtless in Cabo somewhere.
Wow.
He did not like that picture.
Dude. He looked like he was about to kick
He
somebody.
looked like he wanted to fight.
He did.
I saw it was Oklahoma fans because the OU Barstool picked it up and said like OU fans were like chanting something at him as he was walking by, but they missed that part. What they were chanting at him. Somebody picked up the phone to kind of get the reaction of Ogeron, who turned around
shirtless,
and they caught him. Of course, he's shirtless. He looks great.
Though? Why shirtless?
Because he looks so good.
Awesome.
He looks so good.
Like, why are you walking around shirtless?
He's in Cabo.
There he is,
He's
superstar
worth $40
from Saturday.
million.
You got to have some good stories.
Still.
Wow, Dryden just kind of dragging his heels. Yeah, he still smells like it.
Smells like this.
Yes.
Smells like
Speaking of shirtless, I'll watch that Arkansas game until just dying for him to rip that shirt off. I mean, Musselman.
Of course.
I mean, he didn't. I just knew he would.
But you know who did?
Kelvin Sampson.
Kelvin Sampson. Yeah. Which was awesome. The TNT cameras had it on, and Charles goes, "Ain't nobody need to see that."
I wanted it to happen.
Sampson and Houston advanced to the Sweet 16 again. Arkansas advances to the Sweet 16 again.
I bet through that whole game too. Like next field goal. I mean, I was like on a roll in that Arkansas game.
You were live betting?
Yes. I got on a roll.
Got
I got hooked. I did. David was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I keep winning. I'm still going. Next field goal, Arkansas." I mean, I couldn't stop.
That's awesome.
I know. I have over $400 in my account.
Damn.
I know,
God
y'all.
damn.
I'm serious. I'm getting better at it.
I've got 2 futures still out there.
And I still don't even
Arkansas
really know
and
what I'm
Houston.
doing.
Okay. For the game?
For the net to win the Natty.
Really?
Nice little future plays.
That's not bad. I feel like Gonzaga is it.
That doesn't feel like it's going to be that. This is what March Madness does, right? Like you get all of the upsets, all the excitement, and it's like, oh wait, Gonzaga was in the Final Four last year. Then they added a freak, Chet Holmgren, who was just like, I don't even how is he 7'8" and
7'2",
gangly, and like, well, he's a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
He is really good.
He is.
I don't want him to be, but he is.
He doesn't look like he should be.
Right.
Right? Like it doesn't look like he should be that athletic.
And he can take it the length of the court.
Like the way he handles the ball
It's unbelievable.
is incredible.
He's a white Kevin Durant.
He is.
Jabari got a body too.
Yeah, he did. He did. Auburn.
Jabari got bodied.
And he got body too?
Oh,
didn't see him get
Jabari
bodied
last night?
I didn't see it.
Oh, bro, they got run.
The dude from Miami.
They got run, and they were
two-step
going at him.
on him. Like
They put one on his head. They were blocking his shot.
Oh,
they were
no.
talking shit to him. They were like staring at him. I mean, it was one of those seniors beat the freshmen up. You know what I mean? Like, who's the tough guy? Oh, they say he's going to be the #1 pick. Sweet.
Bet.
Yeah, right. Like the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen story at the Dream Team when they played Tony Kukoc. You know what I mean? Like,
That's borderline abuse.
you know, like, hey, coach,
I got
nobody else is touching Kukoc today.
He's on the team.
I mean, Magic Johnson was like, I hadn't seen Michael Jordan play that much defense in 10 years. He's like, he was playing, I mean, as intense a defense he's ever played.
Be careful, Michael. They're going to call a foul.
Scott Oldham said Gonzaga looked very suspect against Memphis, though. They did early on. I thought it was very impressive the way they came back against that Memphis squad. They throttled Memphis at the end of that game. Memphis was up big on them early. In fact, I believe they were up like 10 at half.
It was a big lead.
And Timmy put on a show in the second half. He was scoreless up until about 3 minutes left in the first. And then he quickly became the most impactful player on the floor. I'm not saying that he was the best. Armani Bates for Memphis is probably a better pro prospect. But Timmy was just making big shot after big shot, setting up his teammates on good passes. He made an athletic play on a baseball-type pass from Nimrod that hit him down.
Is that his name?
Is it really? Wait,
His
is
name,
it?
dude.
It's
Nimrod.
not. It's not.
Gonzaga point guard. Maybe not Nimrod. Nimhard?
Nimrod. But who has a better mustache? My guy, Doug Edert, I love, from St. Peter's. He's a stud. 25, the white kid.
Nimhard.
yeah, it's Andrew Nimhard.
Nimrod.
Well, Nimhard hit him on a baseball pass, and Timmy's like falling back.
He goes right back into the stage.
He's going to
He's like
produce good
falling
blood for
back.
this. Yeah.
I don't think is that funny? I mean, he catches the ball like falling back and makes like a reverse layup with his back to the basket. I mean, it was one of the most athletic plays. I mean, like the TV I mean, the commentators are going nuts. I mean, but it was an incredible play, and it was a huge basket in the game. And I kind of thought to myself exactly what you and I talked about this morning, Lloyd. It was like kind of like Gonzaga's kind of flexing their muscles. It's kind of showing you who the best team in the tournament is. Even though you look up and they've got 2 double-digit tournament teams playing on the second weekend with Miami and St. Peter's playing against one another, I still do believe that the cream of the crop is very well defined in the tournament. I love the fact that you've got something like that happening, you know, where you've got a 10 and 11 in the second weekend.
Yeah, so does Gonzaga.
Sure. But college basketball is the sport that produces that. You know, I mean, college basketball is the sport that produces. You look up on the second weekend and there's 2 double-digit seed teams playing. And I'm telling you right now, to me, I'm looking at Miami, and I'm saying if I'm anywhere, I would want to steer clear of them because they are playing with, like I said, they're the team that knocked out Jabari Smith in Auburn last night, and they were playing with so much confidence and swagger and just this confidence to them that's scary for a basketball team. I mean, they don't want the tournament they don't want this break. They don't want this 3-4 day break here. They want to keep the basketball rolling because they are playing with so much just edge and confidence to them that if you're on the other sideline, it doesn't really matter the matchup because Auburn's a better team. You know what I mean? Like, Auburn's got the better players. Auburn's got the better, you know, skill guys. But, I mean, when you play a team that's hitting shots, like LSU just couldn't do all season long, but Miami makes open shots and they defend. And when it all comes together like it is right now for them, it's, you know, they have this confidence to them, and that is a very just scary, dangerous basketball team because they are they don't look intimidated by anything. Remember, our roofer over here at the Jordy Culotta Show is Steele Henry. Get in touch with Steele Henry from Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof. 318-229-7266. 318-229-7266. Hargrove Roofing Specialist, Steele Henry. Get in touch with him today. Know who's on your roof, as you can call Steele and he can help you out. He came over to my house over the weekend on Friday. Was down here in Baton Rouge working. As we said, he originates in Lafayette, but works the entire I-10 corridor, whether it's going to be Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette. He can help you in any of those service areas. Jumped on the roof, was able to diagnose a problem for my contractor, gave him that, and we're off and moving and making a couple of repairs on the roof in the house. Know who's on your roof. Get in touch with Hargrove Roofing today. Steele Henry, 318-229-7266. 318-229-7266. That's how you get in touch.
Well, he might have to help LSU Baseball out after that bomb somebody hit against LSU on last night. Did you see that? They hit the Marucci building behind the stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they took out a shingle. I tweeted it. I tweeted Steele yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
It was from the show account. Thought it was my account. Oops. but put the old sponsored tweet out there for him, and he's like, "Oh, I can help you with that."
That's a good one.
Doug Thompson of the LSU Sports Radio Network. We'll get down to the bottom of some of the LSU baseball problems with Dougie next here. The Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
I wonder if my brain will ever be the same.
Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. Couple compliments on the teeth this weekend.
Really?
Yes. Couple in a picture. Teeth look great. Compliments of our friends over at Johnson and Spillers. Thank you to Dr. Spillers. Doug Thompson is a part of the LSU Sports Radio Network. It has been too long since we have talked to our friend here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
It has.
DT9, Doug Thompson is here with us this morning on this Monday edition. Dougie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, JC. How you doing today?
It's great to talk to you, buddy.
You too, man.
We missed you.
We do miss you. We need to get you in studio.
No doubt. Miss you guys too.
LSU Baseball 1-2 after opening weekend. I think going into this matchup, people believed that LSU had the advantage, not only that it was opening a conference play, but the rosters kind of on paper side by side, and then it was at the box. What was your reaction to waking up Monday morning and having the Tigers 1-2 in the SEC?
Well, the first thing is I'm glad we came away with a win.
Yeah.
And if you're going to lose, 2 or 3, winning that Sunday game is so important to be able to go into the next week on a positive note. And man, I tell you, I saw a very well prepared Texas A&M team, and Coach Burtman used to always tell us every home series or home game, whether we're playing Alabama or where Southern. He would say, no matter how good we are, how good we think they are, how bad they're supposed to be, if their pitcher has a good night, buckle your chin straps because it's going to be a rough ride. That's what makes baseball so great. Is that truthfully any team can beat any team on any given night, and you have to give a lot of credit to Texas A&M. Not only their starting pitchers really outpitched our starting pitchers, but they had some incredible at-bats. I mean, I've been doing this 7-8 years up there, and they were really, really good at extending bats, fouling balls off that were that perfect pitcher's pitch, one that would be a called strike 3 with 2 strikes, 1 ball and 2 strikes, 0-2. They were doing a great job of fouling those balls into the net to keep the at-bat moving, and even better job at the pitcher's strikeout pitch, which is the one that falls right out of the strike zone right before it gets there, or misses the outside corner by an inch or a half an inch. They really did good Friday through Sunday on laying off of that pitch, and they really made that LSU pitching staff work. And I talked to Jim Schlossnagle about it, and he said they haven't hit like that all year. They were very pleased with the offense of their team. And, they're not lying. They were the 14th ranked offense coming into Baton Rouge. They had really struggled offensively. They lost their 2 best players to injury. So you have to give credit where credit is due. And Texas A&M was very prepared. They pitched well, and they had some great at-bats literally all weekend long.
You got your first look back at Blake Money after an 8-day hiatus on a wrist injury. He didn't make it through the 4th inning on Saturday. Tigers end up losing that one in the second matchup. What did you take away from the pitching staff as a whole? But start with Money. What did you see from him in his first action back?
Well, his velocity was there. Everything looked fine. He didn't look to be favoring anything. Last week when it was injured, for a couple innings there, he was really shaking his hand in between pitches, coming like he was trying to shake it off or shake the pain away. And none of that type stuff this week. And again, they just hit him. I think he gave up 6 hits and 4 runs. And it got to a point where there was guys loose in the bullpen and men on base, and they really had to make the move there. And that's the same thing with Mikhail Hilliard. I mean, he gave up 10 hits. So the pitching staff as a whole, I see some guys that really need to learn an off-speed pitch, and at least have it in SEC play to put some doubt in the hitters' mind. Ty Floyd is one of those guys. I think Eric Razelman really needs to work hard to develop that slider or a changeup. And the same thing goes for Paul Gervais. Those guys, they throw extremely hard. They have electric fastballs. I mean, we're talking about maybe some of the best fastballs in the league. But I think we learned this weekend that in this conference, fastballs without any hesitation, with a breaking ball, it's going to be rough. Now, Razelman did pitch out of a bases loaded jam. He threw 35 straight fastballs. So, I mean, wow. His fastball really is that good. But I really think for the staff to be competitive in this conference, those 3 guys in particular are going to have to develop some off speed.
Speaking of Razelman, he'll be live today with Mikey Matuk coming up at Mic'd Up 11 and 1 o'clock on Mikey Matuk's YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to that, and you'll get a nice conversation between the former LSU All-American and Eric Reiselman, who is an arm on this staff as LSU looks at the week ahead. Louisiana Tech here in Baton Rouge on a midweek game, and then Florida for a 3-game set this weekend. Dougie, I know that LSU defensively has always been a point of emphasis, especially under Paul Mainieri. That was something that he would talk about routinely, and making sure that his defense was almost above average every single night that they were on the field. When you look at the defensive struggles that LSU is going through and has been going through throughout the year, what do you see? Are they fixable?
Oh yeah. No, I think Jay Johnson's going to figure out the right combination. It's a totally different coaching philosophies, right? Paul Mainieri was, emphatic on a great defense, and he had great defenses, always number 1 or 2 in the league. And he wasn't as offensive minded. Jay Johnson's trying to have his best 9 bats in the lineup. And that's the biggest difference, right? And Skip Bertman was more similar to Coach Johnson than Coach Mainieri. I mean, we had some guys playing positions that, they had never played before. In 1997, Danny Higgins played left field, and he was a middle infielder his whole life. And, Blair Barbier played second base that year. He was a shortstop his whole life. So, I mean, there were some guys out of position, but, that produced a lot of runs. And maybe the difference there it doesn't seem the same quite as those days is because I don't think that pitching is just quite consistent enough. And I do think they will be. I think there's a lot of talent and a lot of depth in this pitching staff. But right now, I think that's the big problem is we need more consistency on the front end of our staff. And those back end guys have to be able to hold the other team down, specifically, Jordy, in the innings that LSU scores, right? I mean, that was a big thing this weekend. I want to say up until about the 6th inning on Sunday, LSU had scored in 9 innings across the weekend. And in 5 of those innings, Texas A&M was able to come back in the top half of the next inning and score at least 1, if not more runs. And, man, that's just a really tough way to try to keep momentum in your dugout. And frankly, with the way that LSU pitched and fielded this weekend, it was really kind of a credit to them to even be in the games, tied going into the 9th inning both days on Friday and Saturday. So I saw a lot of fight in this team. They battled around a lot of adversity. The pitching staff gave up 39 hits. They walked somewhere around 20 guys. And again, we didn't come away with 2 wins or a sweep, but you had 3 very competitive ball games and great baseball all weekend.
Doug Thompson of the LSU Sports Radio Network joining us here, Jordy Culotta Show, talking a little about the defensive struggles that LSU has been through. Now the lineup, the lineup was the kind of the headline piece of this team going into the season, and they've had their ups, they've had their downs. what do you make of their offense going into another week of action?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at the top of the lineup. I mean, everybody pretty much agrees those guys need to be in there, probably 1 through 4, even 1 through 5. And where the questions are, is the catching, right? Is Tyler McMahon going to be there the rest of the way? When Milazzo gets healthy, will he be back behind the dish? At that point, will they slide Barry into the DH spot? I mean, there's a lot of questions about the lineup has a lot to do with the defensive alignment, right? So I think the big question is to fill in those spots, the left field spot, and how do you get DiGiacomo and Dugas in there? But I like the lineup. I think it's really heavy and very good at the top. I think it starts to thin out a little bit after number 6. And again, I think Jay Johnson's going to figure it out. I think he's going to get the right guys out there.
Dougie, I know you've only seen one other team in action up close in Texas A&M after the opening weekend, but do you know anything about the conference before LSU really gets into the teeth of this thing? Where does LSU kind of stand in the pecking order? Is it same as usual?
Well, I'll say this, heading into Sunday, only one series had wrapped up. Ole Miss had taken 2 or 3 from Auburn, and every other team was fighting to avoid being swept. So it wasn't just LSU that's backs were against the wall. Right now there's several 3-0 teams. I think there's 3. There's obviously 3 0-3 teams, and everyone else is right there at 2-1 or 1-2. It's going to be a dogfight, right? I mean, you're seeing Mississippi State struggle, and then suddenly they score 18 runs yesterday, or 20 runs on 18 hits. And you see other teams that it's just a bizarre league. Ole Miss was the number 1 ranked team in the country last week. They lose to Southeastern, and then get 2 of 3, but they also lost a game to who are they playing this weekend?
Who's Mississippi State play this weekend, Katie?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure who they're
No,
playing this
Ole
weekend.
Miss.
I'm sorry.
No, Ole Miss. Mississippi State was
busy.
playing Georgia.
This past weekend, Georgia. You're talking about Ole Miss?
Ole Miss and Auburn. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's going to be a dogfight, and it always is. And that 17, 18 wins may get a conference title this year because as you know, man, especially with the transfer portal now, there's not really any reloading. Look at Texas A&M as an example. There couldn't be a more transitional year for a program. New coaches. They had 12 or 15 seniors leave. They brought 15 guys in on the transfer portal. The catcher Claunch for Texas A&M, he was all conference at Oregon State last year. So the transfer portal, especially for the big schools in the SEC, really just sets teams up to reload instead of rebuild for the next year. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be an exciting year. And I feel like everybody is going to have to battle.
Obviously, a lot has been made of the LSU defense and obviously a switch in philosophy, but did you see it becoming this stark of a difference where they're making 2 and 3 errors almost every game? Like, what does that go into as a practice? Is it just not as much time focused on the defensive end, or how does that change so drastically from one year to the next?
Well, there's a lot of these plays are forced plays, right? Where they're trying to make the great bang bang play, and sometimes it pays off and everybody applauds and you go back to the dugout with the third out. But sometimes you throw it away because you're trying to rush the throw. And Jay Johnson and I have talked about this specifically. And a lot of this stuff is guys trying to do too much. Now some of it's not, right? Like the yesterday, for example. There were a couple errors on the field, but there were some that weren't really called errors that probably should have been outs. But I don't think anybody expected, this many errors. But it's a tough spot for a coach, right? Do you tell your players to be a little bit more cautious? Do you tell them to not try to force the big play? That's a tough one, right? I think there's certain players out there that you want to try to make those plays because they're so athletic. They have such great arms, et cetera. And I think there's other players who are limited that the conversation should be more about, observing the situation and making smart plays and not trying to force one in there. But if you guys saw yesterday's game in the 9th inning, there was a tough play at first base. Yeah. It was a high chopper to Merrifield at third, like really high. And when he caught the ball, I'm shaking my head thinking,
Eat it.
this is that example, right? Eat it. Just eat it. It's a tough one. I know you want to make this second out of the inning, but just eat it. But he rushed the throw, threw it way, way down the line, and bounced off the wall and went out into right field. Now, what I'm getting at with that play, though, is Trey Morgan runs out there on a dead sprint, slides down catcher style on a pass ball on his knees, and while popping up and spinning to second base,
Unbelievable.
flips the ball to the shortstop, and it was on the money, threw the kid out by 10 feet. Now, let's have that same conversation. Like, you're saying Merrifield should have eaten it, but Trey Morgan makes the great play, and we don't really say, man, if he throws that ball in the left field, now there's a runner at third with only one out in the top of the ninth inning in a one-run game.
In a one-run game.
Right. That's right. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You see what I'm getting at? Like, I coach youth kids, right? And I never reprimand them for physical errors, right? It's only mental mistakes. And when they do make the physical error, I'll give them knuckles if that error is moving forward and being aggressive and trying to make something happen, right? Where you might coach them up a little bit is if they're on their heels and they're tentative and they're not really sure what to do with the ball when they catch it. It's really kind of the same thing at a much higher level. But I think this is a good guy. I think Jay Johnson's going to get it figured out for us.
Let Cam not get the glove down on a low pitch when a player on second it goes to third and the ball goes to the back of the gate and watch you go crazy on a little league field.
No chance. I don't go crazy on a little league field.
It's been too long, Dougie. Great information, man. Have a good call this week. We'll talk to you.
Okay, brother. Take it easy.
Later. There he is, Doug Thompson, joining us here on the LSU from the LSU Sports Radio Network as the Tigers big week ahead.
Sneaky
Louisiana
good in the
Tech,
booth.
very good. Just real.
Just real.
That's it.
Yes.
This game is taking a long time.
Louisiana Tech midweek, and then Florida for the weekend for LSU. Conversation brought to you by City Cafe. Remember City Cafe, location out on O'Neill and George O'Neill. In fact, we'll update our bracket challenge coming up here, which our bracket challenge winner will receive a live sit-in on the Mic'd Up and Jordy Culotta show. Also a $100 gift card to our friends over at City Cafe, who have a great brunch every Sunday. That starts at 10 a.m. and then they have lunch specials every single day. Go see Squeaky Miranda, Cody Miranda, Dirk and the crew over at City Cafe. O'Neill and George O'Neill, been in business for over 100 years. 100 years in business. That is great service. They love the community. Go see them over at City Cafe. CityCafeBR.net is the website. We'll jump right into recruiting discussion. We'll also get into some LSU basketball coaching search as Billy Embody from On3 Sports was able to confirm a report early put out by Jeff Goodman that says Matt McMahon, the head coach over at Murray State, is the leading name right now in the house with Scott Woodward as far as who could be next to replace Will Wade. We will talk to Embody about that. We will also talk to him about some of the recruiting news that's happening with football. Football spring starts tomorrow. What's the storylines he's looking for? What a great time of the year as sports is starting to round into form here in the spring. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Had he played by the coach and I'll make him practice on Monday after the weekend, I'd imagine that they were probably out there.
I saw some of the staff out partying this
Maybe
weekend.
a couple.
Let's start on Tuesday.
A few staffers out, but it's all right.
Saw a couple of staffers out here. Louisiana's not
Look
a
at
bad
the
place.
Irish.
Yeah, Louisiana, not so bad, huh? That's right. All right, we will talk to our guy, Billy Embody, next here from 1-3 Sports.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online, moralesrolloffs.com.
Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online, moralesrolloffs.com.
I'm running the hills today.
No way. You think you'll throw up?
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Arch Manning on a trip to Georgia and Athens. We'll ask our guy, Billy Embody, on how that's going down. We'll also talk to Billy, who joins us now here on the Jordy Culotta Show. He is at on3.com is where you can keep up with all of his work. That's where you can find the latest in recruiting on LSU and what's happening here, and the latest in LSU basketball coaching news, as Billy was able to confirm a report earlier put out by Jeff Goodman stating that LSU is in chats with Matt McMahon, who is the head coach for Murray State right now, and that's why we talked to Billy here on this Monday morning. Bill, good morning. How are you?
Doing well, guys. How are you?
Doing okay. Let's start there. The latest on, or you back up before we start to get to names. Your reaction to, you have covered LSU's basketball program since the first day of Will Wade. You had a great relationship, with Wade and the program under his direction. What was your reaction to a nearly a week ago, a little over a week ago, to Wade being ousted?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising, right? I mean, it seemed like things were trending towards, even an extension, coming down the line for him, and then LSU receives a notice of allegations and decides to kind of turn heel and make the move away from Wade. And I mean, I think you look back on his tenure, and I mean, it was exciting. There were times that this program looked like it was going to be a national championship contender, and year in, year out, I feel like they had the talent of for the most part to be that type of program. The pieces didn't always necessarily fit together as well as even Wade probably would have liked. Obviously, they had the great run to an SEC title, and they've had NCAA tournament appearances, but they just never got over that hump for whatever reason. And I think it was trending towards maybe getting over that hump at some point down the line. And so it's just going to be honestly, it was a fun, interesting time to cover LSU basketball. Recruiting obviously went well. The team played well for the most part, just about every night. And but you do wonder just what could have been if he would have had a little bit more time, or things would have worked out on that front.
So now the job is open and has been for over a week. In that time period, they are bounced out of the NCAA tournament and start to look towards next season. What do you anticipate the shakeout to be now that Wade is out? We've seen a couple of decommitments as far as recruiting goes. What do you imagine this roster looks like in the next couple of months?
Yeah, that's a huge question. And the good thing for LSU as far as maybe trying to retain some of these players on the team is that they do have time. It's not like football season where you get done with the season and then you're in final exams and guys are maybe looking to jump ship and change programs and get a fresh start and do all of those things in a very tight window. It is it's late March now. And so they do have that time where they can make a hire, they can build relationships once they make that hire, and then see if they can keep some of these guys around. The big question, probably the biggest question I would have is can they keep Adam Miller? He was going to be a huge piece for this team before he got hurt. He's already used his transfer. I would think there could be a potential that he could get a waiver, but you never know. If we can talk coaches in a minute, I guess, but if they got Matt McMahon, he did a great job with John Moran. Developing him, and so that could be a selling point, for example, on that front. And then you look at guys like Tari Eason. I would assume he's going to go to the NBA draft, and there's not many guys that could stop that from happening. They have some pieces to fill as well, just with Darius Days, Xavier Pinson departing. Those guys, but you have a nice young core that you've got to really recruit hard to stay. And who knows what happens, guys like Alex Fudge, who sometimes it was kind of mystifying, when we'd see him, when we wouldn't. Does Sharif O'Neal stick around? But I think you're going to see most likely a good bit of turnover. And that's just kind of college basketball these days anyway, with the roster turnover. And even when things were going well underway, we saw a lot of roster turnover for the most part, year in, year out. So it's going to be a lot of recruiting to keep a lot of these guys around. But I would expect there to be a good bit of roster turnover just because that's the nature of how these things go.
We've heard a couple of names start to surface. There's rumors and, smoke around Scott Drew. But there was a confirmed report by Jeff Goodman and then confirmed by you that Matt McMahon from Murray State has been in conversation with Woodward, or at least contact has been made. What do you know about the coaching search, and where do you feel it goes next?
Yeah, I think this is overall a quintessential Scott Woodward search. Late last week, I heard that they reached out to Chris Beard. Didn't hear of any sort of things moving in any sort of direction as far as discussions. I think Chris Beard's very happy from what I've heard at Texas. I heard there was contact made with Tony Bennett's camp, trying to get him to sit down and talk. And I would say those things are not necessarily dead in the water right now. I'm not saying he's going to be the next coach by any means, but I do think that Scott is probably going to take another swing at Tony Bennett just because ties to Louisiana, really good defensive-minded coach. He's won a national championship. His wife went to LSU. There's family in the area. There's a lot of things that could certainly draw him to LSU, and that's kind of Scott Woodward's MO is coaches with national championships or very, very, very high levels of winning throughout his past coaching searches. And then you've got Scott Drew, and LSU has Kim Mulkey now, and they've got a relationship, and that would be a terrific hire if they can get him out of Baylor. He's won a national championship, and that's another name that I think he would continue to push for. I would say. I just think with Scott Woodward's approach, you see him kind of have multiple lines in the water. When you look back to when LSU was going after Lincoln Riley, and from everything I heard, they were going to talk with him, and USC won out, and he took one more run at Jimbo Fisher and then ended up with Brian Kelly, and that's not a consolation situation. It's just kind of how I heard, it happened. And I think you look at the Matt McMahon thing developing now with Murray State's coach, and he would be a very good hire. He's won a ton of basketball games. He's developed really high NBA draft picks like John Morant, and we saw the work that he's done, and you see the consistency that he's done, that he's had at the mid-major level, and now maybe he's next up to get that shot to move up to a bigger program in a high major opportunity. South Carolina's been courting him, and the fact that that hasn't materialized quickly like some would expect, with the ties that he kind of has to some of the people and the program over there at South Carolina, tells me that LSU is in some serious talks with Matt McMahon, and this is something to certainly watch.
Is there any idea, do you get any idea of if Scott Woodward and the executives from LSU having any inkling of what they're selling, what they're offering? Do they know what could be coming down the pipe from the NCAA as far as a violation or a penalty assessment?
I would think they have a fairly good idea. What that is, I'm not too sure of. I do think there is a little bit of confidence that maybe it's not going to be as bad as some people would think, just because of all the years of coverage over the Will Wade stuff and all that, which we don't need to get into. But just because of how well covered that was, you would think that there's going to be a massive, massive sanction coming. And from my conversations with people, it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen, especially since the NCAA isn't too keen on punishing current players on the roster for what happened in the past. And so that's something to kind of, hold on to, I think, especially if you're an LSU fan. They did move on from Will Wade. They moved on from Bill Armstrong, and they did it pretty quickly after the notice of allegations, which, right or wrong decision as far as moving on from Wade, that was something that I would imagine they had some discussions with the NCAA about as far as how it could help them in the process with their case. And so, overall, I would think you see it as a contract that's built with a ton of protection for whoever the coach is. If there are massive sanctions, I would imagine a buyout would drop significantly, or a clause that makes the salary go up, or an extension that kicks in right away, because whoever takes this job isn't going to know any of the sanctions until, well into their first year on campus. So there's got to be a lot of protection for the coach. And, Scott Woodward does have that ability to spend some money. And I expect this deal for whoever gets it to reflect that.
What did you make of Todd Golden agreeing to terms with Florida?
Yeah, I thought it was a solid hire. I think, coming all the way from San Francisco, not only just across the country, but at that level, I would have thought maybe he would have taken a jump to a high-ish mid-major before going to Florida. But, he's got the ties in the SEC from Auburn. He's an up-and-coming, well-respected head coach. And sometimes, those guys need a shot. And if they interview well and impress well, they can earn that opportunity. And, I think Matt McMahon is a good example of a guy who's ready to lead a bigger program. Todd Golden will certainly find out if he was ready for the bigger stage at Florida. Good thing for him is he's not following Billy Donovan like Mike White did. So he's got that going for him. But, I think his team's played really well, and he, deserved the opportunity. I just was a little surprised he got that opportunity before maybe making a stop somewhere else. Maybe a little bit smaller.
Billy Embody on Twitter. Make sure and keep up with all this stuff there on social media. Spring football is starting tomorrow. Bill, we'll get our first listen to Brian Kelly at his press conference, and then on the field action will begin later this week. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, there's a quarterback competition out here, so we've got that.
Right.
That's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is the quarterback competition. Just seeing how that plays out, seeing how these guys all mesh with the new system. And then from there, the offensive line is a huge question mark. How do all these new transfers fit in? Who wins out at center is a huge piece of that. Who establishes themselves as a legitimate option at center is very important as far as the early goings of spring goes. And then, I'm also interested to see, if we see any tweaks as far as positions go in the secondary, and then at the linebacking level. I think there's some safeties that a lot of people said for a while could be linebackers. There's some versatility in that secondary that could have guys moving around. So the position changes are always something I'm interested in, and because that kind of helps you figure out as well what Matt House is looking for as far as players go. I know he's trying to build this year's scheme around maybe what he has rather than what he would like to have on the roster, which makes sense coming in as a new coach. But those position changes and what body types and athleticism and all sorts of those things look like are good indicators as far as what they're going to look for down the line.
Billy Embody, on3sports.com is where you keep up with all the work. Great stuff this morning. Great information. We'll be keeping up with you on the latest for LSU basketball and spring football. Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there's Billy checking in this morning as he is from On3 Sports. Make sure and check them out at on3sports.com. Daily, we're brought to you by Relief Med. Remember, RELEAF med.com. Relief Med is medical marijuana, which is legal now here in the state of Louisiana. They are offering flower and brand new products every single day. Jump online. Make sure you get your recommendation for a $200 annual fee. You can get your recommendation and be in front of a pharmacist this afternoon picking up your strain, your tincture, your gummy, whatever you're looking for. If you're looking to try and get your head back after a pretty crazy weekend, Relief Med might be a pretty good spot to stop in here on this Monday morning. Remember, if you use the promo code Jordy1, JORDY1, you'll receive 15% off, 20% off of your initial purchase over at Relief Med. That is RELEAF med.com. A lot of things happening in the world today. LSU looking for a basketball coach. Spring football starting tomorrow. The legislative session is happening up at the Capitol. If there are things that are stressing you out and you need to check out, get in touch with Relief Med at RELEAFmed.com. Relief Med, a proud sponsor here of the Jordy Culotta Show. We will come back. We'll have more as we'll close you out. La'el Collins agreeing to terms with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's got a great message for Joe Burrow as he lands in Cincinnati as they look to defend that AFC championship. There was also a little insight given on how Burrow is recruiting all these offensive linemen up to the Midwest. We will give you some of those stories when we return and close out the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, coming up today on Mic'd Up, 11 to 1 o'clock, Mikey Matuk of Mic'd Up. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. We'll be sitting in with Eric Raiselman.
Reiselman?
Dougie was saying Raiselman. Oh, we got to ask.
him.
Put it on the poll. Up until then, is it Raiselman or Reiselman? I was going with Reiselman as Matuk confirmed him early this morning, and then Dougie started talking about the pitching staff, and he mentioned Reiselman as Raiselman 5 times. He's definitely said his name more and met him more than I have.
Jet Stedman.
So maybe this is the guy. Maybe it's Raiselman. Either way, he's live with Matuk coming up between 11 and 1 o'clock.
Absolute cheese.
Yeah, he is. He's throwing darts right now. All right, remember, we will be back here and close out the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure you have subscribed to the YouTube channel. Like, share, comment, all of that stuff. We appreciate that every single day here as we'll be back with more Driven and Powered by Go Chevrolet.
Should we make bodyguard T-shirts?
Easy, man. Don't put it on the streets.
If everybody wants to make them for us, that would also be good. Put security on the back, maybe. That would be cool.
True Blue Water. True hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU, bluewater.com. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online moralesrolloffs.com. The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Welcome back here. Tales from the stage.
Jeez.
Tales from the crypt.
From Saturday's Earlapalooza. I just got a text from BG Landwell. You sound like you got too much energy this morning.
Thank you,
Dude,
BG.
I tried to sleep it off yesterday, but I think that my secret, I was just talking to Montook, is he was able to make it until Flo Rida and was actually clocked in at home at around 9 o'clock, somewhere in between 8:45 and 9, which is just an incredible day.
Incredible.
If you think about the riding efforts of starting the day at 6:30 in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, all the way until 9 at night.
Yeah, it's impressive.
That is very impressive.
I
A
couldn't
very
do it.
impressive day. BG just asked how we sound so energetic. I think my secret is that once I felt that onset of that headache that Montook was just talking about, I bailed.
Relief med.
Yeah, I bailed at 4 o'clock. I had to relief med it as much as I could.
Relief med was the Sunday cure.
Yes,
That was
sure.
the move.
I tried the pin route, the gummy route, the flower route. You know what? It's over. Let's go home.
Going to bed.
I knew when I laid in the field at Beauvoir Park at 5:30 and looked up and saw birds and asked if they were drones. Kelly said, "You know what? That's it. Load up, buddy. Either I want what you're on, or we're going home
going
now."
home.
Yeah. So let's just go home. Knees were swaying, body was moving, everything was spinning.
As long as you
I
can
fought
keep,
through though.
George said, as long as you can keep your footing, no
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah.
That's really the only rule. As long
Yeah.
as you can stay up,
Upright.
you're good. Stewie.
Deshaun Watson is now
just-
a part of the AFC Central with Joe Burrow. He is now in there with Cleveland. Burrow's squad is beefing up as they pick up another offensive lineman over the weekend. One with a ton of familiarity to this neck of the woods. It is La'el Collins, the former Redemptorist and LSU standout, has agreed to terms with the Cincinnati Bengals. This signing gives them a much-needed upgrade on the offensive line. On Sunday after he signed, it was official. Collins said that he texted Burrow, "You got a new bodyguard in town.
Let's go.
Ain't nobody touching you." You got to love La'el, as he was Albert Breer, who covers the
Breer.
NFL for Monday Morning Quarterback, said it went as far as Burrow hosting Collins and other free agent signings like Hayden Hurst, Alex Kappa, and Ted Karras. Hurst is a tight end. Kappa and Karras are offensive linemen, respectively. They all hung out at Burrow's house during their recruitment of free agency. Burrow's bringing these guys in. Breer said to punctuate the Bengals' recruiting pitch, Joe Burrow had Lyle Collins over to his house on Friday along with former signings and free agent pickups, Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and Hayden Hurst, along with their wives and girlfriends. I'm told that Burrow may be the best closer in Cincinnati, according to Breer. That
bring to all the wives?
Well, yeah, probably.
Exactly.
But doesn't this go into more of what we talked about during the season? If you're Cincinnati, sign this guy. Like, I know that it's not. This isn't usually the way that business is structured within the NFL. I know, especially at this position, quarterback at for a franchise that you really want to play smart as far as you financially commit to that player and to that position. But what else do you need to see? I mean, this guy takes you to a Super Bowl in year 2. He was trending as the rookie of the year before he got hurt, even with the way that Justin Herbert was playing. And now here going into season 3, he's beefing up this roster and bringing in offensive linemen and pass catchers to help fill the void of weak spots within Cincinnati. He does and checks every single box. Can you bet on health? You can't do that in pro sports. You can't do that in sports in general, especially in the NFL. So, I mean, barring any type of catastrophic injury for Burrow, what else are you waiting on Cincinnati? And I know that, look, this isn't the way that business is usually handled in the NFL, especially when there are contracts in place and that there are years and limitations and salary caps that you have to abide by. But, I mean, I feel like every day that passes by, if you're Cincinnati, is a lost day of not making this guy your $100 million franchise quarterback, because by the time he gets to the table, I mean, what's that, 2 years from now? He's got a 5-year deal as the number 1 pick. He's still got 2 years remaining after this season that he plays. So he's still got 3 seasons remaining under the current contract that he's playing under. I just look at the value. Look at what, and I know this is where you make your run, right? If you're in the NFL, the formula says you need a rookie quarterback who is impactful on his first contract, so you can go out and pay Collins, Kappa, Hurst, and everybody else that they'll need to replace and bring in for spots this season. But just, from the business standpoint, Burrow, he just checks every box. That position is so hard to find in professional sports, of somebody who can do it at a consistent rate and be very competitive at it every week like Burrow is. Like I said, I feel like every day that passes by for Burrow in Cincinnati is just a day lost.
Don't you wish you knew what went on Friday night at his house with all those guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the wives' girlfriends, yeah. I know, I'd love to know.
We're biased, but do you think that people would want... Joe Burrow seems very private, but he seems like he's a hell of a time. Is that what somebody that you would... It's almost Derek Jeter-esque. We're like,
yeah, it is like that.
What are you doing? Because it seems like a lot of people... I mean, Rob Gronkowski said, he's like, I don't know what Joe B's got, but I want some of it.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's been able to do this in free agency where they want to
the
play
tales of the
around
stories
him.
of the post-Natty celebration with him and Foster Moreau and a couple of guys around New Orleans were epic. It was epic.
Foster Moreau's a great
They ended
wingman.
up in a couple of rooms in New Orleans. I think everybody knows about the Foundation Room in the House of Blues in New Orleans. There's like a room inside the Foundation Room that's supposedly like impossible to get in. There's only like the top 1% of the 1% get in. And supposedly Burrow that night, that was the spot, dude. I mean, everybody who was anybody was just, look at this guy.
What were they doing?
I want more of him. I want more of this guy. Just jaws to the floor, man.
That's right.
I think he was like still in his jersey. Just crazy stories, bro.
Just his jersey, Winnie the Pooh.
Kyron Lacey confirmed here on the Culotta Show, going to be in studio. Kyron Lacey, the transfer wide receiver from UL, on the first day of opening spring practice, going to be inside the studio talking to us a little bit about his offseason, transfer portal, and he'll be talking a little bit about Gordon McKernan as that guy signed a deal with NIL. That obviously, how much did that mean to him in landing in LSU? And then we've also confirmed the best player in college football, Kayshon Boutte, will be in studio with us Wednesday morning. Here, both of those times, 8:30 the next 2 days. So Kyron Lacey, wide receiver, tomorrow morning, 8:30 on the Culotta Show in studio, and then Kayshon Boutte the prospective Bolitnikoff winner here in 2022 and 2023, going to be here at 8:30 on Wednesday morning, as we talk to them about some of the storylines going into spring football, as we said, which begins tomorrow here in Baton Rouge. They will have no on-the-field drills. You will hear from Brian Kelly, who's the head coach, new head coach at LSU, and get his thoughts on what the opening part of spring is going to look like. Then on Thursday, LSU will hit the practice field, and there will be a press conference following. As I've told you, our entire team will be camped out at LSU throughout every practice, every presser, anything that goes on around LSU football. Make sure you are keeping up with the Culotta Show on all social media to make sure that you get the latest in video, latest in audio, the latest of the news that's coming out of the Ponderosa over the next couple of weeks. The spring football game is going to happen on, is it April 22nd? Look right behind you, Matuk. But the last one, April 23rd, will be the spring game for LSU football. So they'll start it up tomorrow on Tuesday, March 22nd, and go just about an exact month for spring practices, as they will have the culmination of it inside Tiger Stadium on April 23rd for the spring game. So many storylines, right? I mean, I think we've talked a little bit about it. We touched on them a little bit with Billy Embody. Quarterback competition, obviously, as I think everybody's going to be paying attention to. That'll probably, get the headlines. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these new staff members really in the way that they interact with their players at each position group. These wide receivers, we mentioned Kyron Lacey and Keyshawn Butte coming in to the studio the next couple of days. I can't wait to see that position group together. What's Chris Hilton look like in year two? What's Brian Thomas look like in year two? I saw Jack Besh on Saturday, shirt off, swinging it. My man was having a good time. He looks like he's made a pretty good transformation between year 1 and 2.
He's teetering on Rob Gronkowski territory, where he is just the life of the party all the time, and he can get away with. I'm not going to say he's doing anything wrong.
No, he's not at all. He's not.
He can. Is good. He can. And he's fun.
Yeah, he is.
It's okay to do this.
No, I think his
Walker, be careful.
His personality kind of fit. Walker was kind of wingman him on Saturday. Walk's got that look on him too, brother. Like, you know what I mean? You just tell me where and when, and I'm ready.
Speaking of these back rooms, let me get into one of these.
In fact, we walked in on Saturday. As we were walking in, walking up behind us was Jack Besh, Walker Howard, and Will Campbell. All walking up. And Campbell, you want to talk about a bodyguard. I mean, as much as the sun was out on Saturdays, he's in front of you. It's like a freaking lunar eclipse. I mean, guy is an animal.
Dang.
And he still looks like a baby. And I don't mean that.
No, baby
I don't mean that.
No, baby face.
Disrespectfully, Will. But you could still, I mean, the baby face, but even like he still almost has like baby fat to lose. You know what I mean? He's jacked.
Lord.
You know what I mean? But his body still hasn't even started to. He's about to go into a college football weight room with a nutrition system that's attached to it. You know what I mean? Like, you can look him up. I mean, he looks very intimidating on a high school field. But when he takes his helmet off and you stand next to him, you're like, geez, this looks like a
you almost forget he's 18.
Giant. You know,
yeah.
It's like, and there's still like, he just still looks very young in where he is. So those three sure are going to be the or Walker and Will are definitely two of the heartbeats of that recruiting class that's coming in. And Jack Besh obviously looks like one of the best sophomores in the country, one of the best second-year players in the country.
Be a hell of a tight end.
Huh. I guess he's going to have to play tight end.
Or either that or Jason Taylor's son. Like, they don't have another one on the roster.
Yeah, no, he is good. Mason Taylor from South Florida. I believe he's from St. Thomas Aquinas.
Speaking of tight ends.
But I mean, true freshman tight end.
That's tough.
You know what I mean? That is tough. It's tough.
Speaking of tight ends, so I'll call in Jeter.
What? I saw him Saturday.
He wants to come on the show.
Bring him in.
Got his number.
You remember that?
I saw him.
Stewie, that was the first thing we did.
Relax, bro. Relax.
Their foot was jumping. I saw it was Clay Moffitt and them.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's still put together, dude.
Who, Moffitt or?
No, Jeter.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait. He was like, what's up, man?
You are
And I
too,
was
Moffitt.
like,
We're not talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus.
Everybody thinks we're being creepy talking about these kids' bodies.
It's not my fault they took their shirt off.
Great ass.
Great high ass.
Yeah.
Highest ass, Tyrann Matthew or Patrick Peterson?
Pat Pete?
Tim is up there.
Yeah, but Pat Pete was more physically imposing.
His butt?
Then Matthew.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're just
No,
talking. I'm talking
Pat Pete was the more physically imposing and better ass out of the two.
better ass. Okay.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Ask the
High
scouts.
ass.
You know what the scouts are looking at?
It really is a tilt Larry Fitzgerald.
Great ass.
Great ass.
Eat soup off his ass.
Oh my God. I don't understand.
Off his ass. You set a bowl of soup on his ass, is all I'm saying. It's a very good curve.
What?
Right?
I'm glad you clarified that this is
Y'all thought we were weird earlier.
Yeah, right.
not in his ass.
We can
mean,
get
if you
weirder
could-
if you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you could eat any
We
food
do
out
get
of
weird
ass,
when
it
the
would
camera
be
goes
soup.
Speaking of weird, have you seen this that Jake Paul is trying to put together a fight between Kanye and Skeet? Between Pete Davidson? Jake Paul has offered $60 million to get Kanye West to fight Pete Davidson inside of the boxing ring. Jake said he's looking out for the Kardashian kids here. Said that they're the ones that are receiving the most punishment of this thing that's playing out on social media, and that he wants it all to end.
How many are
and
there?
that he is offering
They
a
have 4 children.
$60 million purse. Does that mean anything to Kanye? $60 million doesn't move the meter,
No.
does it?
Doesn't.
do you
Kanye's
think?
banned from
Pete
the
Davidson
Grammys
would
now.
love $60 million.
Yeah, it's easy work too. I feel like.
And I'd imagine that
Pete
I think would win.
I think that
Pete
Pete would be
would
the
win,
favorite.
too.
Yeah, I think that Pete would be the
know.
favorite.
Kanye's getting
Kanye's from
canceled.
Chicago.
You scared of weird?
No, Kanye's from Chicago.
No, I get
It's
that.
Different. It's,
I get
it's like
that. I
he
get
has
that.
that different vibe.
I
But,
get that.
I mean, Pete might.
Pete's from Staten Island.
Younger.
His dad's a firefighter.
The
Was a
reach-
firefighter.
Scrappy. Pete's scrappy. Kanye's
Pete has
not.
Pete
He
has
don't
kind of like
talk.
that anti-fear to him.
Yeah, he
Yes.
does.
You don't want to fuck with crazy.
Like,
You don't
hit
want to
me
fuck with
harder.
crazy, but
They're
I would
both
say
crazy.
I would say that if you don't want to fuck with crazy, that Kanye would be.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
one.
They're
Yeah,
both
like-
crazy.
Yeah, but I think he's a little bitch, really.
Oof.
I do.
Who, Kanye?
Yeah. I really do. I'm tired of it. It's
Let's-
like I
let's
think I
set
feel
our
like everybody
state.
should stop talking about him and like he's crazy, and just
Katie,
like
I'm gonna let you finish, but no.
I don't know, right? He's crazy. I mean, he's already been banned from the Grammys, from Instagram. Like, stop talking about him and let him just like go away.
He's
Keeps
heartbroken.
coming back.
That's the
You
thing.
think so?
Yes.
Would you be heartbroken over Kim Kardashian if you
I
were
can't say.
already
I mean,
wealthy?
They have 4 kids
Well,
together.
what
Oh
is-
no,
money have to
I
do
could
with
definitely
it?
be heartbroken over my baby mama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
if I
mean,
had 4
it's not
kids with
money.
somebody, and as soon as we divorced, she was out. Yeah, I mean that's any type of public divorce is going to be tough, I'd imagine, just because everything's playing out for
In
everybody to
public.
see. But from somebody who is, divorce is a nasty deal, man. It's a bad deal, and when there are kids involved, it gets super fucking slimy.
Mm-hmm.
And for something like this, it really is. I mean, it really is kind of sad to watch it play out in public because, the kids are having access to read this stuff. But more importantly, I think the saddest part of it, from just like Kanye's point of view, to me, is that he seems like dude's heartbroken, man. I mean,
It
dude's
seems like Pete's
looking
like
out and he sees his girl bouncing
happy.
around, happy with another guy, and everybody's kind of like, like just accepting it. I mean, and it's killing him. It's crushing him. So
I feel like Pete already body bagged him a little bit.
I
with
thought he
the-
did, too.
With the
Yeah.
tweet.
I
Or
thought he
the
did, too.
text message conversation, like, where are you? He's like, I'm in bed with your wife.
Yes.
And he's like, okay,
Ish.
I almost have to fight.
yeah, right. That is a fightable
That's
offense.
fighting words.
That's
That
your
is
fight
fighting
words.
words. But I mean, he was kind of like, bro, what's the deal? I thought he was like, what's up, man? It's Skeet.
Pete's great. I love Pete Davidson.
I do too.
I do too.
I do
He's
too.
great.
You gotta love to hate him.
Super random relationship though, Pete. and
Right. I
Kanye.
didn't think
is.
it would stick this
Super
long.
random. I didn't either.
And see, that's why I would say Kanye is like upset because he's like, how you go from me to that?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Probably so.
Like-
Probably
I
would've
mean,
been
I
that.
would pick Pete over Kanye.
Huh?
A million times over.
I mean, we all know why women like Pete. I think it's not a secret anymore.
Guy's a hammer.
I got a fire hose.
Right.
Old man's got a hammer.
From nice asses to big schlongs. You get it all here on the Jordy
You do get
Culotta
it all.
Show.
And we're gonna
Whatever
have
you're
soup
looking for.
lunch.
That's right. Sweet 16 is set. The West region gets going this week. They start on Thursday, Friday. They'll play into the weekend to the Elite Eight Saturday and Sunday. Opening round matchups include Arkansas and Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, Texas Tech and Duke as Krzyzewski stays alive versus Tom Izzo and the Spartans over the weekend as he stamps his ticket to another weekend of NCAA madness. Win will Coach K Coach's last game. Can he keep this thing going all the way to the championship?
Are they going to let him? Like, is it going to start getting a little bit?
Oh,
lean
I'd imagine
towards
so.
Duke?
I'd imagine so.
Why are you so mad about Coach K?
Oh, Coach K did an interview after they won. I thought he didn't do interviews anymore after the game. He couldn't wait to get on the microphone.
The AT&T commercial's the worst.
Such a loser.
Michigan and Villanova are going to square off in San Antonio. Houston and Arizona. Arizona last night in overtime with a great win to stay alive. St. Peter's, Cinderella, the Peacocks are facing off against Purdue. Cinderella might lose her slipper on Thursday. Purdue's a tough matchup.
Purdue's sneaky good.
Purdue is a very tough matchup.
my guy
that'll be
Doug.
Friday. I'm sorry. That'll be Friday.
My guy Doug.
Yeah? Dougie, you on for St. Pete?
Yes.
The Peacock.
Have you read the stories about him in high school?
No.
He used to like chug 2 20-ounce coffees and go out and play.
No.
And they're like he's a maniac. He's an insane person. And then his coach got him the best shooter on the planet. He said he had the ultimate green light. And we're seeing it from old Doug.
Breath stunk during the game, I bet.
Yeah, well, it almost killed Matthew Dellavedova in that 2015 finals whenever he was trying to check Steph Curry, and they had to check him into the hospital because he was chugging coffee and just playing relentless defense, and he almost died.
Sweet. Anything for the team?
Anything for the team.
St. Peter's versus Purdue on Friday. North Carolina squaring off against UCLA on Friday night as Providence and Kansas. That's not right. North Carolina got bounced, right? No, they came back. Yes, that was unbelievable, man. 25 points.
Baylor?
Scott Drew, next LSU coach. You heard it here first. Matuk is reporting that. Providence and Kansas. I'm kidding. Providence and Kansas, and then Iowa State and Miami. 2 double-digit seeded teams meeting up in the Sweet 16 for this weekend's action.
Not Thad Matta, is it?
Thad Matta at Ohio State. He's not there anymore.
Okay, I was making sure.
God, do I
Chris.
keep betting on Ohio State?
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Don't think, just do.
I know. I do it
Hit
in
the
the
buttons.
moment. I do it in the moment.
Hell yes. Is March Madness exhausting?
Yes.
March Madness is overrated.
Jordy.
I mean, how many games did y'all watch this weekend?
That's what I'm saying.
But like a few, like off and on. Yeah.
A ton? How much you watched yesterday? I heard you were poolside getting your mind right all Saturday. You couldn't watch any TV because of the headache.
We were watching baseball.
Sunday.
LSU Baseball.
Sunday?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. I did watch basketball yesterday. I was at a track meet for Little Jade for the majority of the day. When we got home last night, I did watch a lot of the basketball games. But how much did you lock into March Madness, and how much have you kept up with your bracket?
Not with my bracket, but with my
Okay.
with my game.
So think how much we push towards the
Absolutely.
bracket, how much the bracket is big, how much you look forward to the bracket, how much the bracket drives you.
I'm not a bracket person.
And then you turn your bracket in, and then you kind of forget about it.
Money attached to the bracket.
Right.
Yeah.
Money attached to the bracket is a different story.
I'm keeping up with my gambling picks.
Me
I'm
too.
gambling
For
sure.
on every game.
For sure.
straight
But you do
gambler.
that during regular
I mean,
season
yeah,
hockey.
right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
I could be at the tracks till later
I mean,
today.
this is you do this during regular season college basketball. Just because this is the tournament doesn't mean that you're dialed in.
Is there lines out for women's college basketball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should bet LSU to win. You could probably still put a future
Somebody
in.
who told me over the weekend they were cleaning up on women's college. David Lanois. Dee Lanois said they are cleaning up on women's college basketball right now because in the gambling.
I feel like LSU's set to make a run. They got a little tight, a little scare for sure. LSU women's basketball.
Yeah.
For them to win that game means they're about to be off and running.
Yeah.
Could. That was a hell of a test. I mean, Jackson State wasn't a fluke.
No,
Like, that was a good team. They beat.
way too good.
And Baylor's bounced. Mulkey singing.
What do you think Kim Mulkey did when she saw that? Was she like,
Oh, she smiled. She smiled. No doubt she smiled. I don't think she'll ever publicly admit that. But when her SID walked up to her and said Baylor's out, she probably was like, "What?"
sick 'em.
I thought they were gonna. I mean, because if you heard her, somebody asked her, "Coach, what's the beef between you and Jackson State?" And she gave the story about how they played at Baylor last year, or how Baylor played Jackson State and they beat them. And she and in her setup, she was like, "And this year Baylor's got a team that can win it all. They're a Final Four team." Like in her Saturday press conference, like just kind of just greasing it, you know what I mean? So absolutely, like kind of letting you know. I mean, I left behind a national championship contending team. Like that's probably the best team in the country, and they probably have the best player in the country on Baylor's team. And when
No,
somebody
it's that
probably
girl
told
for
when
UConn.
somebody probably told
She
her
hurt?
Sunday, yeah, she's not playing.
Paige Buckers.
She's not
Yeah,
playing.
she's out.
She's not playing. She's back. At her status,
Big sports show.
I mean, she's playing. She's not.
she's not. She's not killing it. But yeah, she smiled. Definitely smiled.
I'm gonna find a future. Speaking of futures, already put one in on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl and back. Future Lloyd is
Are you
back.
serious?
Sweet.
I mean,
Good bet.
after the L. Collins
Yeah.
thing, I think that's all they were kind of missing.
All right, Mikey Motuk. Remember, mic'd up coming up 11 o'clock this morning. He will take to. He will have Eric Raiselman. Is going to be in studio or on the phone? In studio. Sweet. In studio today, talking LSU baseball. Big week ahead for the Tigers. Louisiana Tech in town. LSU looking to a little revenge factor from the early North Louisiana loss a couple of weeks ago, and then to Florida. Florida 3-game set this weekend. Gators and Tigers for LSU baseball. Mic'd up. We'll be talking all about it at 11 o'clock this morning, 11 to 1 o'clock here on FM Digital Media. Have a great Monday. We're back with you tomorrow morning, Tuesday. Remember, Kyron Lacey, transfer wide receiver, will be here, and Keyshawn Butte will be here on Wednesday. Make sure you're following us all on social media. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Powered and driven by Go Chevrolet every day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.